Yehoshua chapter 15. And the lot of the tribe of the children of Yehudah for their clans was to the border of Edom, the wilderness of Tzin, southward in the extreme south. And their border began at the edge of the salt sea, from the bay that faces southward, and it went out to the southern side of the ascent of Akrabim, passed over to Tzin, and went up on the south side of Kadesh Barnea, and passed over to Chetzron, went up to Adar, and went around to Karkah, and passed over to Atzmon, and went out to the wadi of Mitzrayim, and the border ended at the sea. This is your southern border. And the east border was the salt sea as far as the end of the Yarden, and the border of the northern quarter began at the bay of the sea at the end of the Yarden. And the border went up to Beit Hogla, and passed over north to Beit Arava, and the border went up to the stone of Bohan son of Reuven. And the border went up toward Devir from the valley of Achor, and it turned northward toward Gilgal, which is before the ascent of Adumim, which is south of the wadi. And the border passed over to the waters of En-Shemesh, and ended at En-Rogel. And the border went up by the valley of the son of Hinnom to the southern slope of the Jebusite city, that is, Jerusalem. And the border went up to the top of the mountain that lies before the valley of Hinnom westward, which is at the end of the valley of Rephaim northward. And the border went around from the top of the hill to the fountain of the water at Nephtoach, and went up to the cities of Mount Ephron. And the border went around Baalah, that is Kiriath Yearim, and the border turned around from Baalah westward to Mount Seir, and passed over to the side of Mount Yearim on the north, that is Kesalon, and went down to Beit Shemesh, and passed over to Timnah. And the border went out to the side of Ekron northward, and the border went around to Shikeron, and passed over to Mount Baalah, and went out to Yavneel, and the border ended at the sea. And the west border was the coastline of the great sea. This is the boundary of the children of Yehudah, all around for their clans. And to Caleb son of Jephunneh he gave a portion in the midst of the children of Yehudah, according to the mouth of Yahweh to Yehoshua. Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. Arba was the father of Anak. And Caleb drove out the 3 sons of Anak from there, Sheshai, and Achiman, and Talmai, the children of Anak. And he went up from there to the inhabitants of Devir, and the name of Devir formerly was Kiriath Sefer. And Caleb said, He who strikes Kiriath Sefer, and shall capture it, to him I shall give Achsah my daughter as wife. And Othniel son of Kenaz, the brother of Caleb, did capture it. So he gave him Achsah his daughter as wife. And it came to be, when she came to him, that she persuaded him to ask her father for a field. And when she got off from the donkey, Caleb said to her, What is the matter? And she said, Give me a blessing. Since you have given me land in the south, give me also fountains of water. And he gave her the upper fountains and the lower fountains. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Yehudah for their clans. And the cities at the furthest border of the tribe of the children of Yehudah, toward the border of Edom in the south, were Kabtzeel, and Eder, and Yagur, and Kina, and Dimonah, and Adada, and Kedesh, and Chatzor, and Yithnan, Ziph, and Telem, and Bealoth, and Chatzor, Chadatah, and Kerioth, Chetzron, that is Chatzor, Amam, and Shema, and Moladah, and Chatzar Gadah, and Cheshmon, and Beit Pelet, and Chatzar Shual, and Be'esheva, and Bizothia, Baalah, and Iim, and Etzem, and Eltolad, and Kesil, and Chorma, and Tiglag, and Madmanah, and Sansana, and Levaoth, and Shilchim, and Ayin, and Rimmon. All the cities were 29 with their villages. In the low country, Eshtaol, and Tzorah, and Ashna, and Zanoach, and En-Ganim, Tapuach, and Enam, Yarmuth, and Adulam, Socho, and Azekah, and Sha'arayim, and Aditayim, and Gedera, and Gedoratayim, 14 cities with their villages, Tzenan, and Chadashah, and Migdal-Gad, and Dilan, and Mitzpeh, and Yokteel, Lachish, and Botzkath, and Eglon, and Kabon, and Lachmam, and Kithlish, and Gederoth, Beit Dagon, and Naamah, and Makedah, 16 cities with their villages, Livna, and Ether, and Asham, and Yiftach, and Ashna, and Yetziv, and Keelah, and Achziv, and Mareshah, 9 cities with their villages, Ekron with its towns and its villages, from Ekron to the sea, all that were by the side of Ashdod with their villages, Ashdod its towns and its villages, Azah its towns and its villages, as far as the Wadi of Mitzrayim, and the great sea with its coastline. And in the mountain country, Shamur, and Yatir, and Socho, and Danah, and Kiriath Sanah, that is Devir, and Anav, and Eshtemo, and Anim, and Goshen, and Cholon, and Gilo, 11 cities with their villages, Arav, and Duma, and Eshan, and Yanim, and Beit Tapuach, and Afekah, and Chumta, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, and Tzior, 9 cities with their villages, Maon, Carmel, and Ziph, and Utah, and Yisrael, and Yokdeam, and Zanuach, Cain, Giva, and Timnah, 10 cities with their villages, Chalchul, Beit Zur, and Gedor, and Ma'arath, and Beit Anoth, and Eltekon, 6 cities with their villages, Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Yearim, and Rabbah, 2 cities with their villages. In the wilderness, Beit Aravah, Midin, and Sechacha, and Nivshan, and the city of Salt, and Engedi, 6 cities with their villages. As for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the children of Yehuda were unable to drive them out. So the Jebusites have dwelt with the children of Yehuda at Jerusalem to this day.